Simon Bailey is a customer experience and insight specialist from the Caffeine Partnership and joins me live via video link. Hello there, Simon.
Hi, Cristo. How are you?
I'm stressed. How are you?
I could tell that. Yeah, I was slightly frightened there for a minute because there was a whole list of different brands and experiences that you'd had that I was thinking, gosh, the poor guy, he's attracted quite a few of those.
I attract it from everyone. I don't know whether I have particularly high standards. I don't know whether I'm jinxed. I mean, there was a family member that put a jinx on me curse on me when I was born. I won't go into that.
Right.
But I sometimes worry that has actually come true when it comes to it's a customer service curse. I mean, what is the Caffeine Partnership first, before we get into this?
Well, first of all, the Caffeine Partnership is a business focused on helping clients grow their businesses. And we do that through brands, through customer experience, and through also helping companies build a better relationship with their employees.
Right.
They're the three kind of key areas that we focus on.
And have you come up with the answer as to why customer service, and it seems to have been in the last 5 or 10 years, has become horrific? Is it that we are unfortunately just such a stupid nation now that we have people who work in customer service who have no initiative whatsoever?
Well, let's unpack that a little bit, Cristo, because there's kind of a lot in there.
Yes.
I think probably the first thing it's just worth saying is that the index, of course, is measuring, I think, customer satisfaction overall, as opposed to purely just customer service. But of course, that's an important component. But I think what you're expressing is really interesting, because I think it's partly been driven by the fact that as consumers, as customers, we've become actually more demanding. And I think what's interesting about this survey is that despite COVID, despite all of the things that have happened and all that businesses have had to cope with, actually our expectations have varied very little. We're still quite demanding. And what you'll find is, for every Amazon or Uber or Deliveroo that can deliver stuff to you very, very consistently, you take those expectations and you apply those to other types of businesses, which may be in a different place, maybe have a different set of challenges, and actually may find delivering some of that more integrated service more difficult. Now, at Caffeine, we've got a view about why people, your own personal experiences aside, why people like First Direct and John Lewis and Amazon are able to deliver such great service on the whole. And that's because at the heart of their business, they have a very clear understanding about what they're there to do. Effectively, their why. They understand why they're in business, and they do a really good job of thinking about you as the customer, putting your needs at the heart of the business. We like to say that they are purpose-led in the broadest sense of the word, but they actually do it on purpose, right? They recognize that you can't boil the ocean. You look at Amazon. Amazon's really interesting because if you ever tried to speak to anybody at Amazon, you'd find that really quite difficult. The reality is that they have chosen to focus on being really good at the areas that they know matter most to you as a customer. And that, of course, is a really friction-free experience on the web on the whole, the ability to find things, to search things, to recover orders, and of course, get them delivered to you in many instances within 24 hours, sometimes on the same day.
Their online chat function is very good as well.
Go on, Christine.
Their online chat function, if you've got a problem with an Amazon order, you're trying to speak to them. I mean, you may as well try and, contact the dead. But if you actually try and speak to them via the online chat function, they are very good. They're really, really good on that. As long as you know your order number and everything else, they are brilliant on that. And the thing I like about First Direct, give them their credit, when you ring them, someone actually answers the phone. You don't have to go through 15 different options, sub-options. Then if you've put in the hash key the wrong place, you've got to go back to the main menu. And then, or the worst is when you have an option on a menu for anywhere this is, and you say, right, I'm ringing John Lewis, and they say, if you'd like to know our opening hours, press 1. And so you do the opening hours, and they say, these are our opening hours, thanks for calling, bye. And then they disconnect you because you don't know that the option is just going to lead you to a recording that then disconnects you. So you've got to sometimes lie about why you're calling, because you might want to know the opening hours and another question, but they don't give you that option. They get rid of you, and then they make you call back again.
Yeah, you almost have to game their service.
You have to play the system.
Yeah, but Chris, you know, again, I think on the one hand, COVID certainly can't be necessarily used all the time as an excuse for poor
But
service.
it is
But I
being
do think
used.
it. But I do think, yeah, and sometimes it is. But I do think whether you're thinking about some of the really large businesses or even your local businesses. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been hugely impressed actually by the agility shown by my local pub or my local delicatessen or the local coffee shop. In many instances, you know, these businesses, like many of the big businesses, have had a Herculean effort. I think I read somewhere that Amazon had hired 100,000 people and they just managed to scale. 46% of all of our shopping, I believe, during COVID was done online in the UK. And yet Amazon rarely missed a beat.
Yeah. No,
You know,
I get it with them, and they are good. The thing with John Lewis that I'm
yeah,
never going to forgive them for, they were one of the few places left where you could ring a store, where you could
okay,
ring the store. You could say, oh, I was in the King's Road store, Peter
yeah,
Jones, and I was there the other day, and I was talking to someone about such and such. Let me put you through to them. But now, oh no, they've got rid of that now. Now, if you ring, they'll if you go on Google, they'll give you the phone number, which is the local number. So you think you're ringing the store, but no, you're actually ringing a call centre in Azerbaijan or Adelaide or Auckland or goodness knows where, Aberdeen. And then they won't let you talk to the store. They now put themselves as a gatekeeper to the store, and what they do then is send a message to the store, and then hopefully they'll call you back within 48 hours. No! The reason that you speak to John Lewis, the reason that you speak to certain mobile phone providers is because you want to actually talk to someone. And I don't mind paying more if I know I can speak to someone if there is a problem. And once you've lost that, well, then why don't I just buy off
yeah.
Amazon?
And I think what you're talking about there, Cristo, again, is interesting, is this whole idea of building something that's joined up, that's a coherent experience. Because I believe if you went into the King's Road store or any of the stores in John Lewis's and asked for help, you probably would get better person-to-person customer service than you would get in many other stores. But of course, what you're highlighting is it's no good having that if actually when you try and get into contact with somebody and find out when the store opening hours are, you know, it's very difficult or it leads you to a cul-de-sac. That in a sense isn't acceptable. But what a lot of these businesses are having to do, the John Lewis's, the Marks and Spencers, is effectively rewire their businesses in the face of an enormous competitive threat provided by the digital businesses who are operating a completely different business model. And I think you're feeling some of those tensions
Isn't
as
this
well.
the problem? And isn't this the main problem that you've just put your finger on here? Because I like a choice, and I'm not getting a choice anymore. Whether it's British Airways deciding that rather than charge 20 quid more a ticket and giving me the choice that if I want to be treated like a piece of hold luggage, I'll go Ryanair, but if I would actually like to be served a cup of tea and be treated like an actual human being, I'll take British Airways. No, British Airways thinks they're going to get the customers by becoming Ryanair. John Lewis has got a threat from other online retailers. Well, rather than saying, right, we're going to differentiate ourselves from those online retailers by charging you 20 quid more for your television, but you'll get through to someone in customer service. They're saying, no, we're going to try and be Amazon. We're going to try and be some online, fly-by-night retailer. So it's becoming a race to the bottom among all of these brands to try and cut corners and be as cost effective as possible, when in actual fact consumers like me want choice. I've got the cheap retailers I can go to. Sometimes I don't mind spending a tiny bit more to have that cut above. And the fact that I have to pay to have a cup of tea on British Airways now,
I actually wrote a blog on that very subject. In fact, I think it appeared, Cristo, in BA's In-Flight magazine. And I think that's really interesting because you've highlighted on something which we believe is fundamental, which is hallmarks, which is the importance of offering a distinctive cert. Know your customer, know what they want, have the right insight. I do a bit of work with a business called The Forge, an insight business. And at The Forge, we talk about making those things that you offer customers valued and visible. And actually, that might have been just a cup of tea, but it was a hallmark. It was an opportunity for BA to over-index on the things that its customers are looking for when they want to fly British Airways. And that's a really important component of what I was talking about a bit earlier on. If you're clear about what your purpose is, if you're clear about what your customers want, you can think much more choicefully about what you offer them at what price.
And I don't think they're doing that. And I think that they're failing, because now I just think, well, I may as well fly EasyJet then, because at least the plane is going to be newer, it's going to be cleaner. And if I've got to pay for my cup of tea or my vodka and tonic, well, then I'll pay EasyJet instead and I'll save the money on it. So actually, I don't know whether I would consider it a particularly wise business model from them either. Just something that you touched on, because I've noticed this right, left and centre, and it's almost like they can't wait to tell you. COVID crapness. I mean, is it now that every single particular company you might ever need to contact, all of them, whether it be your local council, whether it be a local business, whether it be a department store, whether it be an online retailer, oh, we're apologising in advance because we're crap over COVID and we haven't got the staff and your delivery will be delayed. And it's like they've got the perfect excuse now. Nothing's changed. They're still as terrible as they've always been, but now they've got the most ideal excuse, COVID.
Well, there's no doubt that there have been retailers and businesses more generally that have been able to meet the COVID challenge and do really well. I mean, Tesco's is an enormous business. If you think about the infrastructure challenge that someone like Tesco's would face in the midst of everything else, they've managed, I think, to have their most profitable year ever. I think they've done lots of stuff behind the scenes to support staff, and they've managed to scale up, and they haven't. But as you rightly pointed out, where you've seen more of a struggle have been in utilities and in some of the cable providers and some of the banks, who have just struggled a little bit more, probably because, to your point, actually a lot of their service provision is now moving to a situation where it's automated, it's online, and when it works, it's great. But the problem is getting access to people at a call center when you need it has become definitely more difficult.
Do you know what they do?
COVID.
But do you know what they do? They go and they decide and they go and hire an actress with a lovely warm Scottish accent to tell you how crap they are. Or I don't know if it's or some sort of northern accent. They always like to say to you, oh, we're really sorry that we can't speak to you. We do love you. We love you, Carl. And it's as if you're supposed to go, oh, that northern person is so lovely that I'm actually going to accept that you are the worst business I've ever spoken to. And I'm sick of it. We need to rise up against this.
In fairness, Cristo, on that, I think they're probably just trying to build a business that's kind of reflective of all the different parts of the UK.
No, it's easier to give bad news in a nice accent. That's what it is. And if it's a Londoner, they feel like people are looking down the nose at them. Well, I'm sorry, we can't speak to you at the moment. But if it's a lovely lady from Scotland, if it's Super Gran or I don't know, someone like that, then immediately we all feel it's lovely and warm and fun. They couldn't possibly be lying to us because it's a lovely Scottish person.
But Cristo, we do love it when we, you've got to remember also that there's a good opportunity for service recovery. And over the years, I've been to some of the call centres and some of the better providers, and I saw, what a difference a really fantastic customer service person can do. And I think what will be interesting over the next few years is I think that you'll see increasingly better automation for services that can be automated, that we're comfortable with. And I think, as this report highlighted, you'll probably start to see, I hope at least, better empowered frontline customer service people with the authority to sort your issues out, with the discretion to make your life better and to get to the heart of your problem. And I think you will see some of the bigger providers put forward maybe better trained, better empowered staff, supported by, when you want to do online banking, you want to do online banking. When you want to speak to somebody about a more complicated financial product, you want to speak to somebody.
Oh, don't talk to me about banks. Right. They really are a bunch of bankers. Listen, Simon Bailey, customer experience insight specialist from the Caffeine Partnership. Thank you for your insights this morning here on Talk Radio. So, what do you make